The omen of arrival, the galaxy was quiet. Trade ships moved from star to star, carrying goods, stories, and whispers. Great empires ruled many systems. Some were old and proud, others young and hungry. Together they had formed a balance, a peace that was not perfect but steady. That peace ended the day the signal came. It was first detected on the edge of the Velari system. Their listening posts were strong, built to catch pirate raids and rival scouts. But what they found was not a raid. It was not a scout. A shadow moved through deep space. It was huge, silent, and coming closer. No broadcast, no banner, no request for docking. Just a dark vessel traveling faster than any known design. The Velari officers stared at their screens. Numbers did not lie. The vessel was larger than any battleship in the galaxy. It was heavier than any mining rig, darker than any transport. At first, they thought the system was broken. A mistake, one officer whispered. But the shadow grew larger, hour by hour, until the doubt turned into fear. Rumors spread like fire. Across nearby systems, traders whispered in bars, "Something is coming. Something we cannot stop." The Krull Dominion sent scouts. None returned. The Orok Empire tried to track it. Their best war satellites burned out when the vessel passed by. Entire fleets began to prepare, but no one knew what to prepare for. Council chambers filled with shouting voices. The Sothari called it a myth. The Droken declared it was a weapon of the gods. The Ashari claimed it was an ancient machine awakened from the void. But none of them knew the truth. The ship kept moving. Slow, steady, unstoppable. Worlds along its path shut down their ports. Colonies evacuated. Civilian ships fled in silence. The galaxy had many wars before, but this was different. This was fear without shape, dread without face. A single vessel, and yet entire empires trembled. On the sixth day, the vessel reached the heart of the Jarathi cluster. There, the great fleets of three empires waited. Thousands of warships formed a wall of steel and fire. Weapons charged, engines ready, commanders proud. From orbit, the people of Jorath watched. The battle would be glorious. No single ship could break three armadas. The empires had crushed rebellions, pirates, even rival species. This would be the same. But the vessel did not stop. It drifted closer, massive and silent. The fleets demanded identification. None came. They fired warning shots. The vessel did not move. Then the armadas opened fire. For hours, the void burned with plasma and light. Explosions rocked the skies, and people on the surface cheered. But when the fire cleared, the vessel remained. No scars, no damage, no sound. Then it answered, not with weapons, with a signal. A single message sent to every ship, every station, every world. The words were in a language forgotten by the galaxy. A language primitive, simple, spoken by a species that the galaxy had once dismissed as weak and unworthy. It said, "Origin, Earth." The fleets fell silent. Commanders froze. Citizens whispered the name, trying to remember where they had heard it before. Earth, a small world ignored for centuries, once invaded, once broken, left behind by the great powers. The humans had screamed, but no one had listened, and now, humans had returned. The vessel moved into orbit above the Jarathi capital. Cities below trembled as its shadow covered them. The warship was not only large, it was alive with strange lights, towers, and weapons no one could name. It looked like a floating city, a fortress built for one purpose: war. The galaxy drowned in silence. Alien rulers across empires panicked. They demanded answers. How had Earth built this? How had humans survived? Why had no one seen them for centuries, only for them to return in such terror? The Jarathi tried to speak. They sent peace offers, gold, even slaves. But the warship did not reply. Its presence was its answer. In the Great Council, an old Sothari senator spoke the thought that chilled every heart. If this is one ship, how many more do they have? Across the stars, fear spread. Children were told not to speak the name Earth. Armies trained, but commanders already doubted. Merchants raised prices, believing war was near. Priests declared omens of doom. The warship did nothing. It simply stayed, silent, watching, waiting. That silence was worse than attack. Every being in the galaxy knew one truth. The humans had come back. And they had come back changed. The omen was clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. The fear spreads, the warship stayed in orbit. It did not move. It did not fire. It did not answer. And that silence was louder than any weapon. Across the Jarathi capital, people hid indoors. Markets were empty. Children whispered about the shadow above. Leaders met in secret chambers, but even their words trembled. What could they say? Their armadas had fired with everything they had. Their weapons did nothing. The news spread like lightning. Traders carried the story across the stars. A human warship has arrived. The words repeated again and again until every corner of the galaxy knew. Most had forgotten humans. They were just a footnote in old records, an arrogant young species that once tried to fight for a place among the stars. Centuries ago, stronger empires had crushed them. Earth's colonies were burned. Their fleets were destroyed. Survivors scattered like dust. No one had seen them since. The galaxy thought humans were gone forever, but now, here they were and stronger than anyone had imagined. The Krull Dominion was the first to act. They gathered 5 fleets and sent them to surround the Jarathi system. Their commanders were proud warriors. They believed strength would break fear. They planned to capture the human ship, to show the galaxy that even legends could bleed. The fleets never came back. At first, transmissions flowed, battle orders, shouts, weapons firing. Then one by one the voices vanished. Screens went black. No signals escaped. In a single day, 5 fleets became silence. The galaxy shook. If the Krull Dominion could not stand, who could? Other empires began to panic. The Drokan Syndicate closed all trade lanes near their borders. The Sathari High Council ordered new weapons to be built. But their scientists admitted in whispers, "Nothing we have will work." The Auroch Empire fell into chaos, its citizens rioting, shouting that the end of days had come. Fear spread faster than truth. Stories grew wild. Some claimed the warship could eat stars. Others said it carried an army of billions. Refugees told tales of glowing drones that erased fleets in seconds. Priests swore the humans had made a pact with death itself. Every world reacted in its own way. Some prayed. Some trained. Some prepared to flee. And through it all, the warship remained in orbit watching. Then one morning it spoke. A signal rang out across the galaxy. Every screen, every channel, every ship received the same message. The voice was calm, deep, human. This is only the beginning, no more. Just 5 words. But those words hit harder than any weapon. What beginning? What did the humans want? Were they here for revenge, for conquest, or for something far worse? The galaxy did not know, and that mystery became poison. Alliances began to crack. Old enemies turned on each other, blaming rivals for hiding secret deals with Earth. Fleets that should have stood guard instead faced off against neighbors. Paranoia ruled. On a small mining world in the Ashari territories, a group of civilians claimed to see smaller vessels launch from the human warship. Black shapes that slipped into hyperspace heading toward unknown systems. Panic followed. They are spreading. Entire planets demanded evacuation. Governors refused, afraid of chaos. Riots began. The human ship itself never moved, never attacked. But its shadow stretched further each day. Some dared to speak the truth aloud. In a hidden chamber of the Grand Council, an aged scholar stood. His voice cracked as he said, "You do not understand. Humans were never weak. They were only patient. They hid. They waited. And now they return as something we cannot stop." The council erupted in shouts, but fear was in their eyes. The galaxy had seen many wars. Empires rose, empires fell. But this was different. This was not a rival empire. This was an old enemy, one they had already defeated, now returned with power beyond reason. What did humans want? No one knew. They asked, they begged, they offered peace. But the warship stayed silent except for its one message. And still, it lingered. In the Jarathi capital, children looked up at the sky and asked their parents if the shadow would ever leave. Parents had no answer. On distant worlds, commanders stared at maps of the stars, marking which systems might fall first. None of their plans felt real. In secret, some alien leaders began to whisper a thought none dared to share openly. Perhaps surrender was the only way to survive. Perhaps it was better to kneel than to burn, but others disagreed. They believed the humans could still be beaten if the galaxy united. They began to gather ships to prepare one final strike. The warship did nothing. It simply watched. And in that silence, the galaxy realized the truth. It was not humans who drowned in fear. It was everyone else. The human purpose, the galaxy was drowning in fear. Fleets had fallen. Worlds had gone silent. The human warship did not conquer, yet its shadow stretched across stars like a storm. But what was its purpose? That question burned in every council, every chamber, every home. The Droken Syndicate said the humans wanted revenge. They hate us, their leaders cried. They returned to burn the empires that once crushed them. The Sothari priests declared it was judgment. They are punishment sent by the stars, they told their followers. We mocked them. Now we pay. The Orok generals argued it was conquest. Humans are no different than us, they said. They want to rule. They want to take the galaxy for themselves. But no answer came from the warship. It only drifted in silence, a black fortress against the stars. Far from the Jarathi capital, in the forgotten records of old wars, the truth was buried. Few remembered, but the humans had once been proud. Centuries ago, Earth had tried to stand as an equal among the stars. They built colonies on nearby worlds. They traded, they learned, they dreamed. But the empires did not welcome them. To the galaxy, humans were weak, unfit, and unworthy. When humans resisted, the galaxy struck hard. Armadas fell upon Earth's colonies. Cities burned. Millions died. The survivors screamed for help, but no one listened. The humans fought. They lost. Again and again they lost, and then they disappeared. The galaxy thought them extinct. But humans had not vanished. They had hidden. They had rebuilt in silence far beyond the mapped stars. For centuries they carried the memory of fire. They carried the memory of betrayal. They did not forget. They did not forgive. They waited, and now their waiting had ended. On the warship's bridge the captain stood. His name was unknown to the galaxy. His face was never seen, but his voice carried power. He looked upon the stars and remembered the screams of Earth, the ashes of colonies, the silence of abandoned children. The galaxy had called humans weak. That lie had shaped his life. That lie had forged the warship. He gave the order. The warship stirred for the first time in weeks. Its engines burned with pale light. Weapons along its hull shifted like the eyes of a predator. Then, from its shadow, a fleet of drones emerged. Black machines shaped like wings of death. Thousands, maybe more. They spread in all directions, faster than light, unstoppable. Their first target, the richest trade hub in the galaxy. The hub of Yalthara was a jewel of the stars. Markets filled its skies. Thousands of ships docked daily. Its wealth powered 3 empires. When the drones arrived, panic ripped through its streets. Defenses fired desperately, but the drones slipped through shields like smoke. One by one, ships vanished in flames. Stations burned. Entire fleets tried to block the swarm, but they shattered like glass. In less than a day, Yalthara was silent. The galaxy watched in horror. This was not conquest. The drones did not occupy. They destroyed. They erased. Why? Why attack trade hubs instead of capitals? Why strike wealth instead of thrones? The answer spread in whispers. Humans want the galaxy to starve. Fear deepened. Merchants fled. Fleets refused to move. Whole economies began to collapse. In the Grand Council, leaders shouted, "Negotiate!" cried one. "Strike now!" shouted another. But no one agreed. At last, an old alien historian spoke. His voice was calm, but his words shook the chamber. "You think humans want revenge or conquest? You are wrong. They want fear. They want the galaxy to feel what they once felt. Helpless, alone, forgotten. That is their purpose." Silence followed. For the first time, no one argued. Because deep inside, they all felt it was true. Back in the Jarathi system, the warship drifted once more, as if waiting. Its drones returned, silent, their task complete. On the bridge, the captain looked upon the stars. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. His voice was quiet, a whisper only his crew heard. This is not war. This is memory. For humanity, it was never only about victory. It was about making the galaxy remember what it had done. It was about showing that the weak had become strong, that the forgotten had returned with fire. The human purpose was not simply to conquer. It was to remind the galaxy of its sins and to make sure it never forgot again. The galaxy trembled. Fleets gathered in secret. Councils plotted in shadows. But already many wondered if it was too late, because deep inside every ruler, every soldier, every citizen felt the same dread thought, if this is only the beginning. What comes next? The battle of silence. The galaxy could no longer pretend. The human warship had destroyed fleets. Its drones had erased a trade hub in a single day, yet it still hovered above the Jarathi capital, quiet and patient, like a predator waiting for its prey to make a mistake. The galaxy called it the silent warship, and silence became its deadliest weapon. The empires decided they could wait no longer. If humanity wanted fear, they would answer with fire. 3 great armadas gathered in secret. The Orok, the Drokan, and the Sothari set aside their hatred and swore one oath: the human warship must fall. Never before had so many ships gathered for a single battle. Thousands of war vessels, carriers, and cruisers filled the void. The fleet was a wall of light and metal, armed with weapons that had crushed rebellions and ended entire species. Commanders spoke with pride. One ship cannot stand against us. Even humans must bow before this storm. But deep inside they feared. On the surface of Jorath, citizens looked up as the sky filled with fire. The people prayed as fleets locked into formation. The air vibrated with the hum of engines, the roar of weapons charging. Every screen in the galaxy lit up as the battle began. The alien fleets fired first. Tens of thousands of missiles streaked toward the human warship. Energy beams lit the void. Explosions shook the heavens. From every angle, the galaxy's fury fell upon the silent giant. The warship did not move. The firestorm raged for hours. When the smoke cleared, the warship remained. Untouched, unscarred, silent. The alien commanders panicked. They ordered a second wave. This time, ships closed in, swarming around the human vessel like insects around a beast. They launched torpedoes at close range. They unleashed plasma storms that boiled moons. Still, the warship did not reply. One by one, alien ships began to vanish. No flash, no explosion, just silence. A Drokan carrier turned to ash in a blink. An Orok battleship split in two as if an invisible blade cut it open. Entire squadrons went dark without warning. The galaxy watched in horror. The human warship did not fight like them. It did not roar. It did not rage. It killed without sound, without warning, without mercy. The commanders screamed orders. Break formation. Retreat, keep firing. But their voices trembled. They realized the truth too late. The warship was not simply strong. It was beyond their understanding. No shield, no armor, no tactic worked. Their fleets were toys, crushed in silence. On the bridge of the warship, the human captain stood calm. His crew did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They worked in silence, every movement precise, every strike deliberate. For them, this was not victory. This was duty, the captain whispered. They wanted us forgotten. Now they will remember. His words were carried with every strike, though no enemy heard them. In less than one night, 3 armadas were gone. Thousands of ships, millions of lives. The greatest fleets of 3 empires reduced to debris floating in cold space. And still the warship did not move from orbit. The galaxy called it the Battle of Silence. But it was no battle. It was an execution. Afterward, the galaxy changed. On every world, fear turned into despair. No one spoke of victory anymore. Merchants stopped trading. Soldiers deserted. Entire planets fell quiet, waiting for the shadow to fall on them next. The Drokan syndicate collapsed into civil war. The Orok generals lost all control. Even the proud Sothari bowed their heads in shame. Priests declared the humans were no longer flesh, but something greater, something unstoppable. They preached, do not fight them, worship them. Others whispered darker words. Perhaps death is kinder than mercy. Yet in all the chaos, one question grew stronger than the rest. If this warship was only one, how many more had Earth built? On the warship's bridge, the captain stood at the window, staring into the black. His crew was silent, but every heart carried the same thought. The galaxy now knew fear. But fear was not enough. The time was coming to show them what waited beyond fear. The warship drifted in silence, its shadow endless, its purpose unfinished, and the galaxy understood one final truth. It was not the sound of weapons they feared. It was the silence between them. The hidden fleet, the galaxy, had seen many battles. It had seen empires rise, empires fall, and countless wars fought in fire and blood. But never had it seen silence like this. 3 great armadas had been destroyed. Worlds trembled beneath the shadow of the human warship. The galaxy waited for the next strike, the next system to vanish, but then something worse was whispered. What if the warship was not alone? It began with a rumor. A small scout ship in the Rim Nebula claimed to see something, massive shapes hidden inside the gas clouds. At first, no one believed them. Fear had already twisted truth. But then a second scout reported the same thing. And a third, dark silhouettes larger than battleships moving without sound. They never answered signals. They never revealed themselves. But they were there. The stories spread like wildfire. There are more. The Droken Syndicate sent spies. None returned. The Sothari High Council denied the rumors, calling them panic tales. But secretly, even they began to prepare for the unthinkable. The galaxy had always believed humanity was a broken race, a forgotten people. How could such a species build even one warship of this size, this power? But now the idea clawed at every mind. If humans could build one, they could build more. On the Jarathi capital, under the shadow of the warship, life slowed to a crawl. No trade, no travel, no laughter. Entire cities froze in silence. People looked up at the sky and wondered if another shadow would appear. Every day, more rumors came. A fleet sighted near the dead zone, a warship drifting at the edge of Auroch space, a ghostly vessel above abandoned colonies. Nothing was confirmed. Nothing was denied. Fear became truth. In the Grand Council, leaders shouted again. Some demanded immediate surrender to the humans. If they have a fleet, resistance is madness. Others argued it was a trick. They use fear to weaken us. We must strike before it is too late. But no one dared to act, because deep down, they all knew the truth. Even if the hidden fleet was only rumor, the galaxy was already broken by the thought of it. One night, the warship moved. For the first time since the Battle of Silence, it left orbit of Jorath. Its engines burned with pale fire, slow but unstoppable. It did not speak. It did not explain. It simply drifted into the dark. And when it was gone, the people of Jorath realized something chilling. The warship had not come to destroy them. It had only been waiting, watching, for what? None could answer. In the outer rim, far beyond mapped space, the truth stirred. There were more. Dozens of vessels, black as void, hidden in nebulae and dead systems. Some were smaller, some larger, but all bore the mark of Earth. All carried the silence of vengeance. Together they formed something greater than a fleet. They were a shadow army, built in secret for centuries. While the galaxy laughed at humanity's weakness, no, the galaxy would pay for its laughter. Back in the council chambers, an old general spoke words that turned blood cold. We thought Earth wanted one ship to strike back. We were wrong. Earth wanted a fleet to end us. The chamber fell into silence. For once, no one shouted, no one argued, because the general's words felt true. The humans had been patient, too patient. No empire had ever waited this long for revenge. And that patience was their greatest weapon. The galaxy's empires, drunk on power, had never believed the weak could rise. They thought humanity was gone forever. They never imagined that in the shadows of forgotten space, an entire fleet was being built, piece by piece, year by year, until the day came when silence would speak louder than fire. The warship continued its journey, leaving behind whispers of doom. Fleets trailed it at a distance, desperate to learn where it was going. But the warship ignored them, one by one. The trailing fleets vanished, swallowed in silence, and still, the warship moved forward. The galaxy no longer asked if humanity had a hidden fleet. The galaxy now asked where it was. Would it appear above their capital? Would it descend upon their colonies? Would it blot out their suns? Every system, every world, every leader lived with the same dread. Perhaps the humans had already surrounded them. Perhaps the galaxy was already theirs. On the warship's bridge, the captain spoke only once. His crew listened in silence. They still believe they fight us. They do not yet understand. They are already defeated. His words carried no triumph, no joy, only truth. The galaxy drowned in fear, not from battles, not from weapons, but from the shadow of what might come. The hidden fleet. The fleet no one had seen, yet everyone believed in. And in the end, that belief was more powerful than any war. The truth of terror. The galaxy had fallen into shadow. The silent warship had crushed armadas. Trade hubs had been erased. And now whispers of a hidden human fleet filled every corner of the stars. But no one knew the truth. For weeks, the galaxy trembled in waiting. Every system believed they would be next. Every leader prepared speeches of surrender. Every child asked the same question, Why are the humans here? And still, no answer came. Then at last the warship spoke again. A single signal pulsed across the galaxy. Every screen flickered. Every channel went silent. And then came the voice, calm. Human, you believe we came for revenge. You believe we came to rule. You are wrong. The words struck harder than weapons. Empires froze. Soldiers stopped fighting. The galaxy listened. The voice continued. We came because something else is coming. Confusion spread. Something else? What could be worse than the humans? The Drokan Syndicate screamed it was a trick.
They lied to weaken us.
The Aurok generals roared that it was a trap. But in every heart, fear bloomed. The humans had shown strength no empire could match. If even they feared something greater, what could it be? In hidden archives, old records stirred. Fragments of ancient wars long forgotten returned to light. Warnings carved into dead worlds. Silent ruins on the galactic rim. The stories told of an enemy older than any empire. A predator of galaxies. A swarm that consumed suns, erased civilizations, and left nothing but silence. The galaxy had laughed at those myths. Until now. The human warship sent images, shadows of vast shapes moving in dark space beyond mapped stars. Creatures, machines, no one could tell, but their scale was monstrous. Their hunger endless, and the voice returned. We faced them once long ago on the edge of your empires. You left us to die, but we survived. We remembered. And we prepared. For this, the galaxy reeled. Could it be true? Were the humans not here as conquerors but as warnings? If so, the truth was worse than anyone imagined. For it meant the galaxy was not standing against humanity. It meant the galaxy was standing at the edge of extinction. Councils erupted in chaos. Some refused to believe. This is human trickery. Others trembled and whispered, what if it is real? The Sothari priests declared the humans were chosen by fate, sent to lead the galaxy against doom. The Drokan Syndicate split in half, with some demanding alliance and others demanding immediate war. But no one could ignore the images. No one could ignore the silence between the human words. The galaxy's terror was no longer only of Earth. It was of what might follow Earth. Meanwhile, the warship moved again. This time it did not drift in silence. It burned across systems, its path clear, its purpose certain. It gathered alien scouts followed at a distance, desperate to learn its goal. What they saw chilled their blood. The warship was not heading to conquer alien capitals. It was moving toward the rim of the galaxy, toward the place where the ancient darkness stirred. In every council, leaders asked the same question. Should we follow? Should we fight beside them or against them? No answer was simple. To join the humans meant trusting the very race once despised and broken. To refuse them meant standing alone against something far worse. The galaxy was divided. On the warship's bridge, the captain spoke quietly to his crew. His voice carried the weight of centuries. They see us as monsters. They fear us. But when the true monsters arrive, they will beg for our shadow. His crew nodded, silent, their eyes on the stars. They were not conquerors. They were survivors. And now they were the galaxy's only chance. But the galaxy did not understand. Not yet. Some worlds still armed themselves against Earth, blind in fear. Others prepared to kneel, hoping humans would spare them. Only a few saw the truth. Humanity had not come to destroy. Humanity had come to warn. The message spread, but belief was slow. Too many scars. Too many fears. The galaxy whispered, argued, fought amongst itself. And in the darkness beyond the rim, something stirred. Sensors screamed. Distant stars blinked out, swallowed by shadows. The old stories had been true. The great enemy was awake. For the first time in history, the galaxy was united in one feeling. Dread. And for the first time, the humans spoke not as enemies but as leaders. Stand with us, or fall alone. The final choice, the galaxy stood on the edge of fear and hope. The humans had spoken. They did not come for revenge. They did not come to conquer. They came with a warning. A shadow greater than any empire was stirring in the dark beyond the rim. Now the galaxy had to choose. Across 1,000 worlds, debates raged. The Drokan Syndicate was divided. Half their leaders cried, "Fight beside the humans. The enemy is real." The other half spat, "No! Humans lie. They will chain us if we kneel." The Sothari priest called the humans the chosen, sent by fate to lead all species. But many Sothari generals refused. They remembered old battles where human colonies had burned. Old hatred burned brighter than new fear. The Orok Empire split as well. Soldiers swore to fight anyone, human or monster. Citizens whispered of escape, of fleeing to deep space, though none knew where safety could be found. Every empire shouted. Every world trembled. But still the warship moved toward the rim. The humans would not wait forever. In the great Jarathi Council, silence fell as an image filled the chamber. It was not from humans. It came from the rim itself. Sensors captured it. A star vanishing, devoured by a vast shape that blotted out the light. It was not a fleet. It was not a world. It was something beyond reason, beyond life. A shadow of hunger. The chamber shook with screams. No one doubted now. The humans had spoken the truth. And yet truth did not bring unity. Some leaders begged for alliance. We cannot fight alone. Others demanded betrayal. Strike the humans first while we still can. The galaxy tore itself apart with words while the real enemy moved closer. On the warship, the human captain watched the chaos unfold. His crew remained calm, their eyes fixed on the distant rim where darkness spread like fire. They do not understand, one officer whispered. They will, the captain replied. His voice was steady, heavy with purpose. When the enemy reaches them, they will have no choice. The warship slowed near the rim. Behind it, ships began to gather. Not alien fleets, not yet. At first, only a few, the desperate, the bold, the ones who believed. A Sothari cruiser, a Jarathi carrier, a handful of Droken frigates. They came without flags, without pride. They came because they saw the truth. Earth was the only shield they had. The human captain welcomed them with silence. No ceremony, no speeches. Just space for them to stand in formation. And so, for the first time in history, humans and aliens stood side by side, not as enemies, as survivors. But the galaxy was still divided. Many refused to come. They clung to their fear, their pride, their hatred. They told themselves the humans lied. They told themselves the enemy would never reach them. Those worlds waited, and in the waiting, doom approached. Then came the day. From the rim, the true enemy arrived. Not ships, not fleets. A tide of living machines, dark as night, endless in number. They poured into the galaxy, swallowing stars, breaking moons, devouring everything in their path. The galaxy finally understood, and fear turned to desperation. The humans moved first. The silent warship surged forward, weapons burning with light the galaxy had never seen. Its drones spread like wings of fire. Its new allies followed, their ships trembling, their crews afraid, but they fought. For the first time, humanity's strength was not used to remind the galaxy of its sins. It was used to protect. The battle was not easy. Hundreds of ships burned. Entire fleets vanished in moments. But for every loss, the humans struck harder. For every world saved, more alien ships joined. The tide began to turn. On the warship's bridge, the captain stood tall. His eyes were cold, his voice steady. They once called us weak, he said. They once left us to die. Now we are their shield, and they will never forget. Slowly, painfully, the galaxy united. Old enemies stood together. Armadas that once fought each other now fought side by side. And always at the center of the storm, the human warship led the charge. The galaxy had made its choice. Not out of love. Not out of trust, but out of survival. And when the battle ended, when the tide was finally pushed back into the rim, the galaxy looked upon Earth with new eyes. They no longer saw weakness. They no longer saw prey. They saw the ones who had returned, the ones who had been patient, the ones who remembered, the ones who saved them. The galaxy would never forget the terror of the silent warship, but it would also never forget the day that terror became its hope. And in the end, the final choice was clear: fear the humans, or follow them. The galaxy chose both.